Hello and welcome to day 152 of Dungeon23, the series where we make a room of a mega dungeon every day for a year. Today is the first room of the 6th floor, and that means it's the entrance, obviously. Nothing important goes on here for the most part, but it does establish the main gimmick of this floor. Well, there's actually two. The first one is that it's more of like a social area where characters with skills based around social interactions are going to be put up front as opposed to combat and problem solving, which has been all the previous ones. And the second thing is that because the setting is a city or a town, the rooms are going to be disconnected buildings. So this room here is like a big tower that just leads up into the sky. And then there'll be another room that's like a goblin farmer, and he have to find his chickens or something like that. So everything's a lot more open and free form, and there are less of rooms, more so buildings. But they still function as a place where a specific encounter or object or thing occurs in or around. And because I want there to be like actual like missions from the goblins in this level, then there's going to be a lot more cross connection between the different rooms and the NPCs within them. So it may require a bit more forward planning on my part, but I think improv will still work pretty good for this guy, because this floor is just more so silly and fun than it is actually a serious combat situation. It's not life or death here. Well, it could be if the party messes up. And their first chance to mess up is right here. So they come out of this stairway coming down. The first thing they'll see is a sign which says, "Welcome to Goblin." It's the best name I could come up with. And I just found out how to make this writing bigger, so that's good. And they say, oh, well, that's the name of the place, I guess. And you come out here. This little goblin greeter guy, he has a little sign that also just says, "Welcome to Goblin." It's redundant, but that's the joke. This guy will hop out, and he'll do a little dance, sing a little song, and basically welcome them to their little town. And afterwards, he's going to expect a tip. And he does not accept gold, copper, or silver, or any coins, because I want the entirety of the currency on this floor to be based around the wooden nickels that one goblin had. I believe it was the one that was dangling over a gelatinous cube. And I really like the idea of goblins having this kind of worthless currency that's only useful to them. But also, the party doesn't really have any means of replicating them. I mean, sure, there's wood around, but they'll have to break it, and then spend time carving it, and then replicating it. I assume they're numbered as well. And I imagine the goblins would get pretty suspicious pretty quickly. But that's more so just a joke. If the players find a fun way to exploit it in a way that's interesting and funny, then that's okay. Now, if he is not given a tip, which if they don't rescue that goblin or don't take his wood nickels, then they don't have anything to tip him with. He's just gonna basically spread bad news about the party. Say, oh yeah, they stifled me on my tip. They're bad guests, and basically the goblins they're not hostile. They won't be hostile, but they'll be like less helpful. Now, inversely, if he's given like all of them, then he'll put in a good word and like really boost their reputation, so a lot more goblins will be more willing to help. And I don't want to like make a whole numerical reputation system. It should be pretty easy to understand how one faction of goblin is treating the party. If you have like 3 or 4 factions all working against each other and the party's trying to play all the different hands, which I do have a funny story which I may make a video on about faction politics in a game I ran. But that's not important here. The important thing is that how you treat this guy determines how the goblins get to know you. And if assaulted or killed, then the goblins straight refuse to do business with you. Like, you killed our greeter. You walked in and immediately killed the first guy you saw. And they'll probably even send guards after them. Which I don't have them made yet, but I do want to have like little goblin constables. Maybe have a little goblin jail. I have a few ideas for little goblin businesses and goblin gimmicks and bits. Because like I said, goblins are funny little goofy creatures. Because there's basically 2 ways of running goblins. The first way is the gremlins from Gremlins 2, and the second being the Muppets. Those are very similar, but it's a matter of lethality. Because I'm not in a good mental space to start doing Goblin Slayer goblins now. But yeah, if you do want to see more goofy goblins and various other goblin shenanigans and gimmicks, then consider liking the video, commenting down below, subscribing to the channel, turning on notifications, all that algorithm stuff, so these videos will show up in your recommendations more often. Or you could also just come back tomorrow because these videos come out daily. So yeah, thanks for watching and or listening. Hope you enjoyed. And I apologize for the poor quality. It's not gonna improve.